Hi there, this video is about Thomas Aquinas, the first video about the Summa Contra Gentiles reading. Thomas Aquinas, there's a picture of him there, and there is the phrase Summa Contra Gentiles. Literally means something like Summa, something like a textbook or a large work written directed towards the Gentiles, something that's the audience here. Remember, Gentiles is a religious term used by the Jews to refer to people, the nations, the people that are not members of the religion. And that's the intended audience of the Summa Contra Gentiles, non-Christians, Jews, Muslims, and pagans, which would be pretty much the rest of the people who lived in Europe at St. Thomas's time. And the purpose of the book, as this is said in chapter 2, is to make known, probably another word for that is to defend. Catholic religious teaching, Catholic doctrine is the way that would be recalled. That just means religious teaching, the beliefs of Catholics, and to answer errors raised against Catholic doctrine. So this already implies something about the relationship between faith, religious faith, and human reasoning, which we're thinking about as philosophy. It implies that they can be brought together, that they aren't polar opposites, they aren't in opposition to each other, that they might even have a mutual kind of support for them. And back to the audience, because he's appealing to a large audience of people, he's going to appeal in terms of what they share. And what they share is what he would say it as reason as an authority, but another word for that they are at least philosophers. Philosophy is shared. Philosophy is the rational study of the world. So what is this work about? Let's give a brief outline to get ourselves going, okay? As we're looking at only a small piece, chapters 1 to 9 of book 1. There's 4 books to this work. So it's a large, long work. It's written in a little different format than we're used to. So we've been looking at philosophy as dialogues, as almost like scripted enactments of conversations. This is what you might call a treatise, a systematic logical presentation given in by one person towards others to be the reader. So you have to do a little more work here. You have to interact with it. You have to raise the questions for yourself. This work may not raise the questions. The answer to this, or the thesis here, is what should Catholics, Christians, think of non-Christian philosophers? People like Socrates, people like Boethius. Though Boethius is a Christian, but he tried to adopt himself to Socrates and Plato. Are these models that we should follow? Are these pagans that we should ignore? What is the appropriate relationship between a Christian and a pagan philosopher? Now, historically, St. Thomas lived in the 13th century. There was a time when these people were viewed with suspicion. And that, we're going to learn pretty shortly, was not St. Thomas's view. So what is the answer here? Well, the answer of the Summa Contra Gentiles, especially this first chapter, is that one, philosophy is intrinsically valuable for what it is. It's a valuable human enterprise, and it should be supported, and Christians should feel comfortable undertaking it as much as anybody else. And the second answer is that, and this is the odd answer, the one that we want to really focus on, philosophy is fulfilled, completed in Catholic doctrine and practice by its own standards of success. What philosophy is trying to do, which is achieve wisdom, truth, moral perfection, that people find in Catholic doctrine and practice. Okay, now you're probably saying, of course St. Thomas would say that. Isn't he a Catholic after all and a saint? Well, I guess I would just answer that. Well, don't be too sure that he would just be mouthing the party line because that's the party line. So you might compare this answer to two other answers. Fideism, which would be the answer that philosophy has no value. This is the people that were opposed to it, and to be replaced by Christian doctrine. And then rationalism, which is the view that philosophy is wholly autonomous and it should not be involved with Christian doctrine and does not certainly find any fulfillment in them. In fact, some people, modern people, will say philosophy is better off without Christianity. Okay, so the Summa Contra Gentiles, it's, as I said, a defense. We should probably distinguish between showing that something's a plausible candidate for wisdom. That is what the Summa Contra Gentiles is trying to do. Catholic teaching and doctrine and practice is a plausible candidate for philosophical wisdom, not necessarily the only candidate. And this would be slightly different than a systematic presentation of Catholic doctrine, which we get in the Summa Theologica, which is the next reading that we're going to look at. Again, some excerpts. Let me just finish with a Socratic prophecy. So in the Phaedo, Simmias says this: one should achieve one of these things, learn the truth about these things and find it out for oneself, or if that is impossible, adopt the best and most irrefutable of men's theories, and borne upon this, sail through the dangers of life as upon a raft, unless someone should make that journey safer and less risky upon a firmer vessel of some divine doctrine. So this is an interesting quote and almost a prophecy for Christian revelation, where Simmias is talking about finding the truth, and we should either do that for ourselves, and if we learn that we can't do that, then we should continue to sail upon life as upon a raft, taking our chances unless we could find somebody we should follow. And I think St. Thomas would say, well, that's what the Catholic Church is.